Hello and welcome, JB Gaming here. In my last video I mentioned that there are tools to practice Yolol programming before the game itself releases in early access. In this video we're going to be going over those tools, where to find them, and how to use them. The two tools that I'll be covering are Yolol and Yodine. To show how to use each of these tools, I will implement the tutorial that I showed in my Yolol Basics video. Starting off with Yolol, this tool is browser-based and I'll be placing a link in the description below. I'll start by jumping straight into the tutorial from the Yolol Basics video. The first thing that you'll need to do from the tool's homepage is to create a new device. Now we'll make our device fields by clicking the Add New Device box. The two different device fields that I'm going to make are Door Current State and Info Screen Content. Note, when making a device field, you need to specify whether or not it is a number or a string. Now we'll add a Yolol chip by clicking the Make Scriptable button. This gives us the same 20 lines with which to work that a Yolol chip would. In the first line, I'll add an if statement that'll check whether or not the door is closed, and then set a local variable to track the door's state. On the next line, I'll implement the string concatenation to display whether or not the door is closed. Lastly, on the third line, I'll add a goTo statement so that we're not wasting time with the empty lines. Given how we initialized the data fields, when we run this script, Info Screen Content should change to say the door is closed. We'll kick off the script by clicking the Run button in the upper left-hand corner. You'll see that the Info Screen Content data field did update saying the door is closed. However, at this point, we don't have a way to check whether or not it would say the door is open if door current state was 1. Unfortunately, Yolol doesn't have a way to dynamically change data fields outside of the Yolol script. And so in order to test the door open case, we'll have to manually delete and recreate the door current state variable set to 1. You'll see when we do that and run the script, Info Screen Content changes to the door is open. Now I'm going to go over the limitations of the Yolol tool. First, as we just mentioned, there isn't currently a way to dynamically affect variables outside of the Yolol script itself. Next is that Yolol currently doesn't have a backend, and so it's not able to save your scripts in order to work on later. Also, this means when you stop a script, there isn't a saved state of those variables between runs. The last thing I want to go over on this tool before moving on is that you will encounter a line showing a certain number of characters has been reached. As can be seen here, this line appears after you have put in 80 characters. However, the limitation for Yolol chips is 70 characters. And so if you have reached this line, you know you have gone longer than an actual Yolol chip would be able to go. Now I'll move on to the next tool, Yodine. This tool is a desktop application that you'll have to obtain from github.com. A link to the site can be found in the description below. When you reach the homepage of the tool, the first thing you'll need to do is scroll down until you can see the README below. On the README, you'll need to click the link to the releases page. Here you'll click the most recent release, and then you'll need to download the Yodine zip file. After the download is completed, you'll need to extract the file somewhere on your computer. Now if you open the extracted folder, you can see the Yodine application at the bottom. Note that since this isn't a widely used program, that Windows will warn you when you try to run the application. At this point, only continue forward if you're comfortable running a program that you downloaded online. To get around this prompt, I simply click More Info and Run Anyway. Now that we've obtained and opened Yodine, let's go over how to use the tool. The column on the left side will show the device fields for the highlighted item. The column on the right side shows the devices that you have available to put in your Yolol data network. To add a device, simply drag it from the column on the right into the workspace. Here I'll quickly show how to use a button to turn on and off the lamp by changing the button state field to lamp on. You'll notice that as I'm clicking the button, it has no effect on the lamp. This is because they need to be in the same device network as shown by the box surrounding each device. If I drag the devices closer together so that the boxes overlap, they will join the same device network. As you can see, interacting with the button now properly turns the lamp on and off. Now I'll implement the same tutorial as before using the button and two chip sockets. In the first socket, I'll be adding a memory chip, and in the second socket, I'll use a Yolol chip. I'm using the memory chip because currently there's a limited amount of devices available, and you can use the memory chip to simulate devices that haven't yet been implemented. To install the chips, first double click on the chip socket to open up a new window, and then drag the chip into that window. With the chips installed, the next thing we're going to do is change the button state device field of the button. Now we're going to set up the device field in the memory chip to emulate a display screen. With the device field set up, we can now program our Yolol chip. To get to the script, double click on the chip socket and then double click on the chip itself. Now we'll just put in the same script that we used with Yolol. With the script set up, now pull up the memory chip so you can see the info screen display field. You'll see when we click the button, the field will change from the door is open to the door is closed. Before we move on, I want to highlight that there's a save button at the top of Yodine. This means that you can save your projects to work on them over time. I'm going to finish this video off with a summary of the two tools we went over. We started off with Yolol, which is an online tool, is easy to access, but it's limited in its features. The other one is Yodine, which is an application that you'd have to download. This one will let you save your projects to work on over time, allows multiple chips, but is limited in the devices that are currently implemented. Before I wrap up, I want to go over some of the work that's being done by the Cylon community. On the Cylon Discord, I've talked to both the Yolol and the Yodine developers, and both tools are being upgraded. The Yolol group is working on redoing the backend in order to allow more features, and the Yodine developer is working on a new UI, and then they'll rework the devices to allow modding, and at that point they'll start adding new devices to the tool. While I was on the Discord, I also encountered another set of developers that are working on a new web-based tool called Yolol. For any remaining questions on how to use the tools or for updates on the tool progress, check out the Cylon Discord. The link will be in the description below. This is JB Gaming. Thanks for watching, and until next time.